live.
Hey, how's it going? Oh, I thought you were going to be on here.
I will in a second.
Oh, okay. I'm Oklahoma Ward, writer, director, Crawl or Die, etc. Yada yada yada. It's really weird because I'm looking at a different screen than Nicole. Nicole, pop in there so they can see.
You still? Oh, here you want to be? Let me just show you. Here's your comments. So that'll be where people comment.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
And I can pop on for a second. Hey guys.
Oh,
So
I see. And
I'll be here too, in and out, but I'm going to be also trying to moderate the chat and just be sharing and stuff. So if we have any questions, I can sort of tell him what they are.
Yeah, because I'm not able to write in any comment over here.
Right. You just have to answer verbally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess what happened is while we were doing this campaign, I had a lot of people from overseas, and then private message is from hey John, how's it going? Of people that are behind the scenes asking me questions. Hey Jeremy. Yeah, I know the echo thing. Yeah, I was telling her about that, but yeah, like you might have to hit mute because they're picking that up. And then what I was going to do is kind of go over the technical side of filmmaking. I don't expect a lot of you all to hang around on this unless you're really geek tech people on the side, and talk about distribution and a little bit of advice to actors. What I've noticed is that on the first movie when I did these, which is part of it is a choice you make when you decide that you want to be a filmmaker or a director, and those are two different things. You realize that you do all this work, and the people, the fans, who they want to talk to is the actors. I mean, except for the very, very few. But even then, I mean, how many times have you all watched an interview with Ridley Scott? Probably not that much. So, I mean, it has to be something that you're okay with, and I am. I really like to. I really like to stay behind the scenes as much as possible, but I do go out there and promote because I am proud, and I come online and do what I have to do, and then I like to fade off in the background, and I like for my actors and all them to get the accolade because. It's kind of the gift of a filmmaker or a director to go, all your hard work and all your trust in me, this is what you get to have. And so I figure what I do is I'll try to go through as fast as I can and answer a lot of the questions that, because this is what I love about tech people. They write you privately because they're afraid to come on like a live stream and ask questions. And I understand that. It's kind of what we tech people do behind the scenes. We have our own little group, but it's usually private. It's not very public because nobody likes to, I mean, it's just natural. Nobody likes to go on and be like, hey, 3 people were listening and commenting. And, it's not all that exciting. But I find it exciting. So I'm going to go through it the best I can. Again, there's a reason I'm not in front of the camera.
I'll come on just a minute. I want to share to all the places that you're live.
Yeah. So that's really weird. It's probably really crazy to you all. If I look over that way, that's because he's talking to me. Maybe you all can hear it through my mic, so you don't think that I'm insane looking over and talking to people. But anyway, okay. So I literally, if you see here, I've got all these questions that all these people asked me, and I figured I would go on there and do my best. I don't do these often. I'll probably only do this once. I did it twice. Once in this interview on the last one, and then I did one live one. But I'm gonna go through things as fast as I can, but try to
You have some comments.
help
Have you
out
seen those?
people. Yeah, I am. I'm seeing those. Hey, Moretta. Hey, Steve. Hey, Jamie. Thanks for thanks for being here. Anyway, okay, so I'm just going to give a very brief 10, 12-minute thing about me and how I ended up being a filmmaker or director. I was a painter, a fairly successful painter, financially, and then lived in New York City, in the city, lived in Chicago, lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico, lived in New Orleans, lived in Austin, Texas, lived in Pennsylvania, lived in LA. I was a nomad, and always did art. But I realized that there's two people, if you're going to be an artist, that you're going to meet in your lives. And I did, because half my family's in the oil business, half my family are artists. And I've realized that that there are those two groups of people, and there are always going to be people on this side that I consider blue collar workers, lawyers, doctors. They have a little bit of animosity towards artists because they feel like, without, if you're sick, and how important can art be? Because if you're sick and you go to a hospital, who do you need? You need a doctor. And then there's the fringe part on the artists who have animosity towards that side, because they go, hey, look, without art, you'd be wearing all gray. All you would do is work, and half of you all would commit suicide out of depression. And I think there's validity to both sides. I happen to fall in the middle. I think art is just as important as any of those jobs, and I think those jobs are not more important than being an artist, nor do I think that art is more important than any of those. I think because I have dug ditches, I have worked on pipelines, and I've also been an artist, and I think that they're both needed, and I think that they both can help each other a lot. So I bounced back and forth throughout my life, and I reached a point in my painting career where I realized that all my paintings were actually film stills of a greater story. And then I did writing. I wrote 2 books. I wrote a book of poems. You're never going to find them. Trust me. I put them out there. I mean, I'm proud of them, but they were all right. My paintings, I think, were really good, actually. But then I had a traumatic thing that happened in my life, and I realized that you could work your whole life and build something up and become very secure in a financial position, and it can all be taken away like that. And I went, wow, okay, so if that's true, and that was after working like a 9-to-5, very well-paid job, I went, what are you going to do to be happy? And I just went, well, I know what I love. I absolutely love. I loved watching them. I loved talking about them. I was passionate about all types of film. I got moved. It helped change my life perspective. It got me through hard times, make me laugh, make me cry, make me judge my own self, make me have empathy for other people. And that was movies. And I went, okay, why don't I try that? And so what I'm going to do is tell you because there's 1,000 ways to do anything. But I have learned, because this is my 4th film, I have learned there are certain things that you have to do. And so I'm going to share those and share what I've learned from Call or Die, the first one, and its international distribution, and what I've implemented on this film. So I'll start off with this. I always do one thing, and I think it's very important. I always surround myself with the smartest people I can. And even on the one of the very first films I did, which was in Austin, Texas, I surrounded myself with people who work in the industry. And I mean, have been on major Hollywood films, and I'm talking about the tech side. And I was able to pull that off. I think I had $500 at the time, and I had to borrow $1,000 from my friend to make it. And then my other friend had all the equipment, had all the professional equipment, but I think we were illegally using the equipment at night because he was the manager and part owner of a very successful equipment rental company in Austin, Texas. And so I pulled everything together and I shot it. I'm proud of it. But I thought, well, I'm never going to make another movie again. It was the most boring process in the world to me. It was horrible. And it was horrible because we were making an extreme no-budget film the way Hollywood makes movies. We had a professional sound person. We had boom mics. We had 12 mics. We had a lighting person. We had a light meter person. We had a focus puller on the camera. We had to set tracks up because the camera was like 100 pounds. And to get one shot, one zoom in shot onto an actor would take an hour. Maybe the focus puller didn't get it right, or maybe the lighting wasn't correct. And then the actor's performance was spot on, but you missed it. And so literally to get one dolly in shot could last a whole day. And I didn't feel any excitement. It just felt very, very stagnant. It wasn't interesting to me. And I loved the outcome. At that time, because I am who I am, I always try to do things differently than other people. But I let everybody around me, and I think this is important for artists, I let everybody around me say that you can't do it any other way. And if you're going to do it, you have to do it the way Hollywood does it. And how can you argue that? Hollywood puts out movies all the time.
Bullshit.
Well, I mean, it's not BS, but it didn't work for me. And so then I had all this footage. It was a grueling. I mean, I loved everybody. It wasn't the actor's fault. It was just, it just didn't work for me. And, but I love the footage, but then how do you edit it? And everybody was like, well, you got to hire an editor. And then how are you going to hire an editor for like $200 that is good? No really good editor, unless they're your best friend. And even then, editing is almost more grueling and hard than filming a movie. So I was like, well, I'll do it my own. I know what I want to see. I know what I was trying to capture in this shot. So I actually have the certificate. When Final Cut Pro came out with their, I don't know if y'all can see it, but I have like the number 8 Mac Pro that was ever built. I have the certificate for it. And it was so new at the time when Final Cut came out. I was able to call up the designers and they were talking me through what was working and not working. And
this is the poster for that movie, by the way, that he's talking about.
Yeah, that's the poster of the movie. I'll put it out at some point. So what happened without me even knowing I was doing it is I learned from the ground up how to edit. And I actually fell in love with it. And it's always hard. I don't know why, like a plumber can say this. A plumber can when they're good at their job, they can be like, I am a damn good plumber. But I don't know what it is about artists, but artists have this thing about saying, I'm really good at that, but I'm really good at editing. I really love it. But I think it's because I started from the ground up, and I was having, at that time, Apple, who was trying to break into the pro market. And of course, at the same time, you have to understand, and I think this is a good lesson for all artists of any type, or anybody that's trying to do something that's different. I tell one of the people I respect most is this surgeon that I met in Chicago, who started off as a cab driver, then he became a flamenco guitarist. Then he said, I want to race bikes in the Tour de France, and he trained for 4 years and did that. And then he started driving a cab again. And then he said, you know what? I want to become a brain surgeon. And he stayed with me for the 4 or 5 years that he did that. His name's Carl Valentine in Chicago, and he did it. And I've always found that type of person just fascinating. But everybody told him he couldn't do it. Everybody told him he was crazy. Just like when I started with Final Cut, everybody in the industry was like, oh my God, no, use our program. Their program, though, was like $5,000, and I couldn't afford it. So it's kind of a lesson to artists is always, it's good to hear what people are saying, but then do what you got to do.
So Corey's in here. He said, we met at the LA premiere. I hope you both remember me. Crawl or Die is the ultimate indie film because of you and Nicole, period. We do remember you, Corey. I remember meeting you very well, and I also remember you even before that from Twitter and everything. So thank you very much. And then people in here are saying, fuck yeah, oh, true man, filmmaker, and most importantly, human being, Crawl or Die would be great.
Yeah.
I'm going to pop in periodically with
no, that's good.
Chat stuff.
So anyway, so my point of all that is, I figured out it took me a year to edit it because I had to learn everything. Sound was horrible because I didn't learn sound yet, because I let everybody convince me that I had to have a sound person. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say a lot of things that I know that I'm going to get emails on. But one of the things that I love about making film is it is one of the only arts that combines music, a visual image, and writing. And that's not me saying that a book is more important than a movie or less hard to do than a movie. I don't believe that at all, because like I said, I wrote a book and it was not very good. And I thought it was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life. I'm actually pretty good with music though, sadly. I will say that. But that I love taking all those aspects together. I didn't know I was good on sound until later. But anyway, so I did it, and then I decided, well, what do I do with this now? I've got a finished product, and what do I do with this? And there was nothing to do with it. And I'll get to that in a minute for filmmakers on why. So then, ironically, again, I went, okay, well, what do I want to do? And I think this is always important if you're going to be a director or a filmmaker. And let me get those two things out of the way real quick. A director is somebody who directs. A filmmaker is somebody who does all of it. Writes it, directs it, edits it. They do all of it. One is not better than the other. Quentin Tarantino does not edit his films. He's probably one of the best, but there is a distinction. I decided I wanted to be a filmmaker for a myriad of reasons. I have hired great sound people. I have hired great editors. I end up just taking it over. Not because they're bad, although you have to be careful at this price level. A lot of times you're not getting people that are the best. Not their fault. Maybe they're growing too. I have such a love for every aspect of making a film that I went, if I'm going to do this, I need to learn how to do every single aspect of it. And that journey was 9 years because I really took the time to understand, learn what works in does not work on every single level of it. Anyway, I then decided I want to do this for a living. And like I said, I always seek out the smartest people that I can in the industry. And it took me about a year to court this person, but his name is Peter Broderick. And he is a filmmaker consultant out of Hollywood. More expensive than the most high-dollar lawyer you can think of. And I think in the beginning, I had to save up a whole year because I think, and you can correct me on this, Nicole, but I think it was like $700 a minute. Or no, it was $700 and we got 3 minutes with him. And
yeah, that's about right. He's pretty expensive.
Yes. But I mean, you're talking about somebody who consulted on Blair Witch and George Romero. Like he's
This is Peter.
Yeah.
Anybody that's interested.
Yeah. And anybody who's in the industry, you can sign up for his newsletter for free. If you're a filmmaker, you're doing yourself a disservice not to get it, because he has a lot of brilliant ideas and he's a very smart man, and he gives away as much information for free as he can. Now, he helped me a lot because I had very specific questions because I only had small amounts of time. I think we were talking like 3 to 5 minute blocks of time. And since then, we've become friends. But he asked me, he was like, what do you want? He was like, I can't help you, and you're not going to help yourself unless you know exactly what you want as a filmmaker. Do you want to just make something? Because you can pick up your phone right now and you can make something and you can show it to your family. Do you want to make something and put it on YouTube? And because you can do that right now. Do you want to make something and try to put it in the movie theater? Or do you want to make something and break into Hollywood? You got to know what you want. And I had to think about it. And I said, I don't care about breaking into Hollywood. I don't want to put it on YouTube. I want in a movie theater. And so we started from there. And that's when you start learning there are certain parameters that you can't get around. You have to film with a certain type of camera, or the resolution will not work in a movie theater. No distributor is going to pick it up. You also have to have contracts. You also have to have everything. Just like when you turn a TV on and you see anything on TV, there are standards that have to be met, or you would turn on one channel and the whites would be blaring. And then you turn it on another channel and the sound would be blaring. And then you turn it on another channel and you can't hear anything and it's too dark. So there's a standard that has to be met. And he told me, he was like, you can do it without it. But if you send it to them without all those things being met, here's what's going to happen. Number one, it'd be like winning the lottery. It would have to be so good that millions of people were talking about it for them to look at it, because what they're going to go is, we've got to spend upwards of $400,000 or $500,000 to have our people go through your project and correct everything. And they're a business. Why are they going to do that? Why are they going to spend that money and have that done? Unless they think they can make millions off of it. And they're probably not going to. So your best chance, if that's what you're wanting, if you're like, I want to see my movie in a movie theater, is you've got to learn what those parameters are. It's out there.
It says taking notes. And Garrett says, you had a great eye for talent. I enjoyed auditioning. Thank
you, Garrett. I appreciate that.
I agree. He's really good at choosing talent and working with talent also.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go through what all those are, but I will tell you this. What I decided, and I'm only going to talk about me. What I decided is on Crawl or Die is I wanted it in a movie theater. So what I had to do is I had to research online. I had to talk to other filmmakers. I actually wrote 100 distributors and just emailed, and I got maybe 5 back, but it was enough. I got back, here's what we need. We need the sound to be in stems. Okay, I didn't know what stems were. So I had to go online. I had to figure it out. And I learned what they were. And it's a pain in the ass. Stems are important. They won't take it without stems. Stems mean all your sound is left channel here. All your sound is right channel here. They also were like, we need your whole movie to sound exactly the way it sounds without voice. And so that means if somebody's walking through leaves and talking, if we're going to take it and let's say we want to sell it to France and they want to dub it, I need to be able to take out all the English language, and I don't want the leaves to cut out. Well, so we had to learn how to do that. And that's a process. And I had to teach Nicole. She didn't want to do it because we had to do that. We had to put in leave sounds because we only had one sound device. So what ends up happening is we knew that we were going to be able to offer on our movie on sound alone 30 stems, 5.1 surround sound, stereo sound, all the voice on one sound bar, like all the special effects, all the score. Plus, we knew that we had to have a professional contract. And that's where, again, Peter helped us to find a law firm. And we found one of the younger lawyers in one of those firms that were like, okay, you know, for I think it was $600, I will give you a contract that you can give all the actors, you can give all the sound people, you can give, you know, because when you hand that movie over, if you can't provide all the contracts in a legal format that they will take, they're not going to touch it. They don't want to get sued. So we saved up our money and we got that. We learned formats. And my point of all this is, if you're going to be a filmmaker and you're going to be an independent filmmaker and you go, I want to put it on YouTube. That's a whole different animal. Then you need to look up that format and go, what do they need? Because what you don't want to do is to do all the work and then just have it sit there. Unless I have some filmmaker friends right now who are making badass stuff and they show it to their family and they show it to their friends and that's it. And they're happy. It's just not what I wanted.
Mr. Banks says, what camera did you end up using?
Okay, I'll get to that. Just give me one more minute. Let me finish this thought and I'll get to that. So on Crawl or Die, I was one of the very first filmmakers ever to use the Canon 5D because I had heard about this camera that could handle blacks because I couldn't afford a lighting person. And I was going to shoot like Stanley Kubrick did in Barry Lyndon and use natural lighting. Because everybody told me, you have to have your sound people. Yeah, you have to have $1,000 light kit. And I went, I don't want to shoot like that. And if he can do it with natural light, why can't I? Well, the problem was cameras. 5D came out. And case in point, I'll post a video again on YouTube. But Nicole was a part of it. I had a friend fly down from Austin. And we were one of the very first people doing testing in low lighting with the 5D. And it got like 200,000 views in 24 hours. Because there weren't many people. In fact, I was one of the only person that was putting color filters on it and put it up there for a test to see how much it would break down. Because I knew I wanted to put it on the big screen. So that's the route I took. I went through everything and did it. And thank God everything worked out. And, we finished the film. I had it packaged to where any distributor that took it, all they had to do was take it, and they took it to Cannes Film Festival. We screened there, and everything was perfect. In fact, I even learned, because I had to do tests to make sure that the 5D would work on a big screen. And people were afraid it was going to break down. So I rented the AMC theater for 3 nights for 30-minute intervals. That was only like $100. I went local. And but then I learned that film theaters only take, they don't take a QuickTime file. of course, they take something that's called a DCP. DCPs, to have your movie converted into a DCP at the time was about $35,000 on the low end, and you don't get to see it. You have to take it to a theater because nobody had a monitor. You don't even know what you're going to get. So color correction was a bitch. But then I found 7 guys in San Francisco that were code people that were working on breaking down how to make a DCP. And now, so we figured it out, and I was able to offer them that. So my distributor was ecstatic because they got everything. All they had to do was take it and they could plug it in anywhere they wanted to. That's part of the reason that our movie got the success that it did. Now you can buy, I think you can buy a licensed DCP. I think it's like $39. But again, this was, 8 or 9 years ago. So we put that out there. I'll get into a little bit later on about distribution and what you need to look out for and all that, because I see filmmakers make a little bit of a mistake if their goal is to break into Hollywood or be in movie theaters. But to get on the camera, I decided this time around, because everybody kept asking me for the original, could I get it in 2K or 4K? There's this thing called up-resing, which I taught myself how to do. It's a way of cheating it. It's not as good. I could have done it and lied and told people I did. I just didn't do it because it was just me. I've got these fucking rules. Anyway, so I decided this time, okay, not only am I going to step up the level, I'm going to do everything a lot better, a lot more mature. So I need to step up in the camera. And I went, again, where do I want to take this? And after dealing with distributors, I realized that the movie theater is not what's important to me. In fact, everything that I have fallen in love with over the last 4 or 5 years, I actually watch on streaming services. And I went, that's where I want. Now, what do they want? Well, right now, any filmmaker, if they're interested in something like that, they go to Netflix, the pioneership, and they break down exactly what they will take. And it's 4K, and they really only approve about 8 cameras, and every one of those cameras is over $100,000. No way I was gonna be able to afford that. But they had about 2 months before I started filming, they had approved this camera right here, the Panasonic S1H, and which was sad for me because I love the Canon 5D, and I am hoping that the Canon 5D upgrades and becomes accepted on Netflix, but currently it does not. This does, and so I had to buy this camera, and I had to buy new lenses and lens adapters, and not only that, there's fake. It's not fake 4D, 4K,
What's
but
the camera, by the way?
there is there is what's called true 4K, which is called 4KI, which means that every single frame is full HD. And we'll get to that. That's why we're having to run this campaign. That means it is crystal clear, and every single frame is actually all the information of a 4K frame and resolution. Most don't do that. Most people shoot in a different way, but that's way technical. That I had to learn. But anyway, so I had to learn the camera. It is different. I have learned to love it. Had a couple of glitches. It has an internal fan on it, which was a little difficult for me because I'm filming in dirt tunnels, and so that became a little bit of a problem. But I figured out how to take the camera apart, figured out how to clean it, blah blah blah. So again, those are all things to think about. Now, again, if you're a filmmaker and you're independent, which I assume that nobody in the industry is going to be paying any attention to this right now, except for a couple of my friends who are in the industry. They're literally probably laughing at me right now, struggling through this. Is you also have to be smart in what you're going to write and what you're going to make. When I did the first movie, I was like, okay, I need a controlled environment and I need a very small amount of people because I got a lot to do. I got to handle the lighting. I got to handle the sound. I got to handle the performance, and I got to handle the camera. This time around, I decided to go bigger. And of course, I never go small on anything I do. Sometimes I kick myself for it. But what I have essentially done is shot 6 1.5-hour movies. Now, what's a little insane about that is I know the amount of effort it took to do one, and now I'm doing 6. So I put the same amount, and I said the only way I'm going to do this is that if they are each individually almost a self-contained movie, all with the same amount of effort, all with the same amount of love towards the sound, the story, my style of editing. So it's massive. What I didn't.
Seaback said that's what made Color Die amazing. All in, brother. And then Mr. Banks said, do they make you shoot in a particular frame rate?
They don't. They don't. They have. I mean, you can go on there. I mean, it's all on there. They have suggestions. I didn't like their suggestions, so I did write on what I like to do it at 29, only because of the low lighting, and or 30 frames per second, how whatever. And but no, they said as long as it's done with the camera. I mean, they have specifics on special effects and all that, but you can get around that as long as you meet the base criteria and it's good and they think they can make some money off of it, they'll take it. Where you cut yourself out of the running. And now this isn't for all platforms, but I'm gonna start at the top, and that way I'm not cutting myself out. I may sign off with, well, I probably shouldn't do this way because I don't want them to think I think one is here or there, but I wanted to make sure I'm not cutting this flagship out when, if I do a little research, I can shoot it in this now because the camera is affordable. I can run the gamut and sit down in front of all of them. I don't know what Paramount is doing right now, but I know that there's no way they can't ask for anything more than what Netflix is requiring. So anyway, but let me back up. That's actually a really good question there, Banks. I haven't had anybody ask me that yet, but that's a really good question.
I also got a question on Twitter. Somebody said, "How did you do lighting for the film?"
Okay, so lighting again, you have to work within your realm. I mean, to me, you have to be really smart. Like, you have to figure out. I have a. This is so hard to say. I have a lot of filmmaker friends whom, they say, well, I want my film in a movie theater. And I go, okay, well, what are you shooting again? And they're like, I'm going to have this huge, massive army battle scene. And I'm going, okay, now it's not that you can't be creative and shoot that, but how are you wanting to shoot it? And they're like, I'm going to get 50 people. And I go, okay, well, okay, you really you're really setting yourself up. Like, independent filmmakers have to figure out a way to tell that same type of story, but in a different way, because traditional lighting is lighting, and how are you going to work with the sun, and the sun's going to change, And how are you going to handle that if, it's just a massive amount of problems. How I handled it was, I said, how can I take that away? How can I, if I want to shoot down there with somebody that's available in the scene at 1 o'clock in the morning, will it look the same? And so I need to take lighting out of the equation. So again, I went back to Stanley Kubrick. I watched all the documentaries on how he filmed Barry Lyndon with just candles. And I went, okay, if this son of a bitch can figure out how to do that, why can't I do that? And stop listening to all my friends who are lighting people with light meters and all that. And I went, okay, I need to get a camera that handles dark light really well. And I went, and then how can I set it up that my actors light themselves organic? And that's when I decided that I'm going to tell the story that I want to tell in an environment that I can control and that they're self-lighting. And I did the same thing on this movie, except I do have some outside shots. And again, I have to pay special attention. I have to try to make sure that everybody's there at the same time of day.
But even outside shots when we'd film at night and stuff was all still lit by flashlight.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any artificial light in this, correct?
No, there's no artificial light in this. Now that's the way I did it. Now, how I decided to make that work is I did the same. I just followed what Stanley Kubrick did. Like, he found a certain type of candles, a certain type of lens that works with those candles.
We should have used candles. It would have smelled a lot better.
And so it took us a long time. In fact, the only flashlight that works, that emits the right lumens and has a blue tint to it that works well with my camera and lens, and it worked well in the first crawler die, I was going to use again on this one, but that company went out of business. So we literally had to scour internationally, and we were contacting warehouses and buying like 4 from this warehouse. This one house had like a box way in the back, and they sold me all of them. Like, I have the last ones. Nobody makes them anymore. And we even called the manufacturer, and they don't make that type of lumen anymore. They don't make that blue light. But if I was starting from scratch and having to do it, I would just order all sorts of lights again to find something that worked with my lens.
And so you guys can see, these are the flashlights.
Yeah.
It's kind of a grainy photograph because, again, they really don't have them anymore. But that's what we used for the movie. So
now sound to me is sound is fairly simple. It is, and this is not me putting down boom people and all that. That's a tried and true way to do it. I have never ever had a problem with sound as long as I have like 2 high quality zooms, and
as long as Lori's butt stays away from
the
sound recorder.
And I have a good filter on them, and then I use a program called Pluralize, and I take all the camera sound and both sounds from the Zoom. I marry that to all the footage, and I edit. And then once I'm done with the edit, I go in and start working on the sound. And I don't, sadly, oh God, there's going to be some sound people that hate me when I say this. I never really see what the problem is with sound that much. It seems from an independent way, in the way I shoot and what I do, I've never had a problem with it. I don't understand it. Now, that said, I've never seen, nothing can ruin a movie more than sound. Sound can ruin a great acting scene. Sound can ruin a great out of focus scene. But sound can save both of those. They can think, well, maybe the director meant to be out of focus here, or, well, the actor's not doing a really great job. But sound is and what I mean by that is I put a lot of time into my sound.
So Seaback says, and trust the sound in Crawler Die was amazing. And Jeremy Sellers says, how do you sync the sound without a clapboard?
You don't need a clapboard with Pluralize. and the way I shoot, a clapboard would be, it just wouldn't work with the way I shoot. Because think about it, I'm in like a 2-foot tunnel with like 3 actors, and maybe somebody will mess up and they're not doing it good. So I'll turn the camera off. I wait till they're ready, and then I start again. And I can't get first of all, a clapperboard wouldn't fit in half of it. Pluralize just lines everything. I mean, it's the most amazing thing ever. You put 5 video clips up there, and you take your Zoom sound that's been on for 45 minutes. You hit a button, and it matches them up. Every once in a while. You got to go in and fine tune it, but yeah, I don't consider that a problem anymore with filmmaking. I again, with independent filmmaking, again, that's the thing. Those are good questions, and I want to make this it's I'm not putting down, and I'm not saying that if you're on a $40 million picture, those things are done for specific reasons, and they work. But I think it is a mistake of no budget independent filmmakers to try to emulate what Hollywood does, because you can't. And if you will spend more time trying to go, well, what's the light meter say? And I go, no, with this type of camera or the 5D, look, what you see is what you're going to get. If you got your light meter set up on the camera, you can go, okay, that is way too dark. Hold that light up a little bit more in your face. There we go. And that's what's great about these new cameras, especially the ones. I always go with the ones that handle dark the best. I always skew towards that, because as they all say, you can't pull light out of dark, but you can make anything that's too bright darker.
Monsieur Banks says, do you hire?
Do I hire
composers?
Composers?
Yeah.
Yes and no. I'll let you handle that, Nicole.
So we do work with a sound studio out of Oklahoma City. But Oklahoma and I are there the whole time, and we go through it with him and tell him what kind of sounds we want and all that kind of stuff. And then I do the music as far as writing lyrics and making songs for the movie, and he basically helps me do that. So yes, we do hire somebody that helps us with all the stuff, because we don't play instruments or anything like that. So he does help us with all the technical side of it. But we are there the whole time, and showing him examples, sounds we like and what we want, and going
and I have to say, we found somebody that
Jared Evans at
Blackwater Studios, and the reason it took us a long time to find somebody is because I understand artists are artists, but I need to find an artist that literally I can sit there and say, no, I don't like that sound. No, I don't like that sound. No, not that. No, I need that sound right there. I need that to go, and I need see these edits. I need to hit on this beat, and I need to construct it right there. And I know that most people that are in music, that's either taken as demeaning or rough, but I know exactly what I'm wanting. And so I'm not at a level that I'm working with people that I go, oh my God, I've heard so much of your stuff and it is amazing. And I would love to see, even then though, that's where I would be in trouble, because even if it was like a Nino or something, I would be like, yep, sorry, I don't like it. But hey, there was something, Diane, no, we didn't have to no, I didn't have to re-record any of the speeches or anything. But yeah, I don't understand why it's so hard to record sound on sets. I got everybody talking on there. Again, I had 3 choices. I had the camera. I had, which is always bad, but I only use the treble from the camera, so I cut everything else out but the treble. And then the other zooms I have there, so I can boost somebody's speech up or down, or I never had that problem. So I can tell you this. So one of the biggest lessons I learned that I did not know is this: that you go through all this, you write it, and then being an independent filmmaker, you have to realize that if you're married to what you write, you're making a mistake, because you're never going to, the scenes that you have in your head, they're never going to look like what you're writing. Even with me, being in the new tunnels and everything with different sizes, you have to stay fluid. I know that Hollywood works in a different way. They write a script, and by God, if you want to change something in that script, you've got to get approval and all that kind of stuff. Well, we don't have that. And so I always tell independent filmmakers, you need to roll with that. Use that. That's a tool. If you're like, okay, I need these two people to have a fight scene in a cafe while having coffee, and then that day the cafe owner is sick and it's not open, but you have those two actors, be creative. Fix it. Use it somewhere else. Or maybe they're in the coffee shop and you're like, oh my God, this looks horrible. You got to work on the fly. And I find that saves me a lot being filmmaking. Here's the biggest thing. Once you get past all that, you have to understand this, that being an independent filmmaker, your major job is PR. If you think you're going to make something and just throw it out in the world, and it's their job to find you, or it's the fans' job to find you, you're going to be sitting there with like 100 views on YouTube. You're going to throw it on Amazon Prime, and you're going to have maybe 500 people watch it. And I tell every filmmaker in the world, that's your fault. That is your fault. That's your fault. It is your job, and believe me, it is a job. It is your responsibility to go out and promote your film outside of your friends and the city you live in. It is different than owning a business in a city. If you own a business in a city, you can put a billboard up and people drive by and they can step right in. And they drive by every day, or you can have an event there. When you're making a movie, if you rent a billboard and put it up in, like if I were to go, I'm gonna rent 2 billboards in Tulsa, and I'm gonna have all my friends come over, and we're all gonna watch it and everything. Yeah, and so what? I mean, if that's what you want, great. But how are you going to get 1 million people to be interested in what you're doing worldwide? How are you going to do that? And I go, well, that's difficult, because there's a reason that movies cost so much to make.
Diane said indie filmmakers have to work harder.
You have to be really smart. Like you have to go, it is my job, if you're wanting a large audience. How am I going to get those distributors to notice me? Film festivals? Maybe. I mean, film festivals today, we call them film festival darlings. You can have a whole career out of doing nothing but going to film festivals. And pull up 20 film festivals, and I guarantee you there's over 5,000 films this year alone that are there. And how many of them have you ever seen or you hear about? Not a lot of them. Not a lot of them get picked up. You have to figure out how you're going to get attention. And you could make the greatest movie in the world, but if they don't know about it, they don't know about it. And I see a lot of filmmakers, indie filmmakers, make the mistake of going, well, I'm going to get all my friends together. And hey, believe me, when I'm doing a campaign, I have to rely on friends. I have to rely on the fans that we've made. I have to rely on family. We have to do local events. But when the movie's done, that's not enough. You have to get outside of your city. You can't just send it to them. You can't just send it to Sundance and go, well, I hope. Like, you have to figure out how. And what that means is.
Go ahead. I have another question when you're done.
Well,
I thought you were wrapping that up.
What we decided to do is, I'll tell you what we did on Crawl or Die. I'm not going to tell you what we're doing now because I kind of like the idea that I've come up with now. And I'm going to keep that close to my vest. But I will tell you what we did on the first one is a year before we were done. Because one thing that people don't understand, I always tell my actors this, they always forget it. People that are involved in the movie, they always forget it and they don't understand, is filming the movie is half the project. Then you got to go in the post, got to go in the edit, and that takes more labor and love than almost filming. And then you got to go in the PR. And what we did is we started a year before we were done with the movie, and we spent 2 hours each, 2 hours Nicole, 2 hours me, going on social media, finding all the horror blogs, from the horror blog that has one follower to the big daddies. At that time, it was Ain't It Cool News, Fangoria, and all that. And we promoted them every single day about stuff that they were doing. We didn't even bring up that we were filming something. And we created relationships. And so by the time that we had a trailer, we were able to contact them, send them a PR release. We have by then had a list of about 200 of their names, and we have been promoting their articles, commenting on their articles. And I would say this is a really smart thing for actors to do also. But anyway, we created those relationships. And then when we put ours out, in one weekend, all those people supported us. And then within 48 hours, we had 7 different distributors that were calling and talking to us. Now that created a whole different set of circumstances, but that's the job of the filmmaker. And I can now I'm going to clarify that. I have a very dear friend of mine. I think he's one of the best filmmakers I've ever seen, that I've ever been around. He inspires me every time I watch him. I think his stuff is absolutely phenomenal. He doesn't give a fuck about any of this. He just makes his stuff and he puts it out there. And I mean, I'm just blown away by him all the time. I wanted that distributor, so I had to figure out a way to get their attention. And so that's what we did. And then distribution would be a whole nother thing, but every filmmaker will tell you the same thing. You take the best deal you can. You're not gonna make a dime. You're gonna watch them make money. And at that time, I have friends of mine right now who get really excited about getting a distribution deal, and you should be proud of it. And that's an achievement. That alone is a badass achievement. But they ain't gonna help you. I mean, they're not. We still had to do PR. In fact, we were being shown in a horror channel in the UK every single month I think it went on for 2 years. But we didn't even know we were on there. And our distributor didn't care. They had already sold it all. They had made their money and they were moving on. They had sold the rights to the UK. They sold the rights to Switzerland and all that. They take that money and then they move on to the next independent filmmaker.
So a question from Twitter. How do you handle casting? Do you bring people in from out of state or do you just cast in state?
Remind me of that. Let me finish this. So, again, we had to be smart. So I reached out to the UK Horror Channel They were happy as hell. They were like, hey, filmmakers never contact us. They gave us an interview. Then they sent us their commercials that they were running. So we created that connection, and it was fun. We were promoting it here in the US. We gained new fans, and we had to do the same thing with every single territory, because any distributor on an independent film level, they're in it to make money. They go, I'm going to pay you this amount of money, the filmmaker, and then they go, okay, we got it. And yeah, we're going to promote it, and we're going to write an article, and we're going to put you in 2 independent theaters. Yep, thumbs up. And you're like, yes, we made it. And then you don't hear from them again. And they go do their job. They sell it to all the territories, and they can do that in about 3 days. And then they turn right around. They still love us. Thumbs up. And then you never hear from them again, because they're on to the next person. And it's not their fault. It's not to do anything bad. I mean, they have to stay in business, and they did us a favor. Trust me. But we went, okay, now this time around, how can we make some money and stay in control of this and bring it up a different level? And that's what we're doing this time. We are going to make sure that the distributor this time, in our contract, our contract, which is another thing you're going to have to learn. If you do get signed, you're going to have to find a lawyer. We're going to negotiate a PR price. Like, we're going to say, if you're not going to spend $700,000 on PR, we're going to go to somebody else who will. And that's not coming out of our end or our profit, which is, pretty much what happened last time. So, okay. So what was that question?
So they were asking, how do you handle casting? Do you cast only in state, or do you bring people in from out of state?
I've done 2 movies where I brought people in from out of state. And then for Crawl or Die, again, it was so small, I used Nicole and a couple of other people that I had access to. And then on this film, I went, I could be really smart. I'm not filming one movie, which one movie alone, and I think anybody who knows anything about the movie business or making films, one movie independent film, 90 to 110 minutes, you're talking about 60 days of filming, 60 days of post. So, that's right there, 4 months. I'm shooting 6 movies right through. So I got to make sure that I have local actors that I can access over a year. And that was a challenge. I mean, it is definitely a challenge, because there were times when nobody would be available during the week, because a lot of these people have jobs, or one person would be available, but they have a scene with 3 other people. So then it came down to, I can only shoot on Saturday and Sunday. So, you would figure out to shoot everything you could during the week. It was a challenge. So I would say to anybody, figure out what you're going to shoot. I mean, I've had great luck when I did a 7-week shoot in Austin. And I had people flying in from LA. And I had no money to put them up. I guaranteed them 1 meal a day. And that worked out fine, because, I just told them right up front. I mean, I would love to use you, but I gave them a sleeping bag. Half the people slept on the set. And, but I knew on this one, there was no way I couldn't have anybody from out of state, even if I wanted to, unless it was like a small little tiny scene. But even then, I just decided to use local. So I think it would depend on the project that you're working on. If you're going to do a road movie, and it's going to be like a 5-week shoot, and I just put out an open call. On this one, we had people from out of state, and we had dear friends of ours that wanted to be in it. Nick Simon, who's a filmmaker on a way higher level than where I am financially, and he loved our movie, and he wanted to have a death scene, or he said he wanted it at the time. in our movie, but it just, especially with COVID and the way everything was working out, it just wasn't going to work. I had to use local people.
Diane said, Crawl or Die had a wonderful cast who gelled so well together. And then Monsieur Banks said, is a distributor necessary these days, or is it just easier, or what?
I would say the same thing that Peter said to me. It depends on what you want. You have to figure out, when I did my first one, I didn't want distribution. I just I want to prove that I can make something. And like, am I going to be good at this? And then the second one I did, I went, it would be nice to be able to take these to local video store. Back then, Blockbuster and all that was around. I was like, because back then there were mom and pop rental places. And I went, I would like to just be able to make something and get it that far. And so I was able to do that. I would take them to, like, I think it was called Papingo or whatever the hell it was. Anyway, and they would rent them. And, I think I was making like $50 a week off of the rentals. And I was really proud of it. And, no, I mean, they were raw independent film. God love whoever rented them, but anyway. And then I just sat down and I went, I need to be really smart. And it took me 2 years to put together how I was going to shoot Crawl or Die, and knowing that I wanted to I wanted to have it in a theater. I don't know that you could 4-wall anymore. I don't know, I mean, theaters, but it's a good question. I can tell you this. I think there is an avenue. I think there is a definite avenue of, can you self-distribute through Amazon? Yes, you can. Can you self-distribute through YouTube? Absolutely. But again, I'm telling you, this is where I see people that I love dearly just get so depressed, and I see them put 3 years of work into something, and then they put it on there, and they're just heartbroken because it gets 1,000 views. And I go, well, what did you think was going to happen? Like, why are people going to watch you as an independent filmmaker and anything that you put out, when literally they can go over here and they can see Bruce Willis doing a movie? Like why are they going to come over here? Or if they decide they want to watch an independent film, they're going to see ads for like this independent film, and all these critics have reviewed it. And so you're going to go, well, maybe I should watch that. They said this is one of the most scary movies. Let me watch that. And then you walk over there. So I think it depends on what you want. Like I honestly said, I don't care to be in a movie theater with this project. I want to be on a streaming service. I want the streaming service to want my project. And I want the streaming service to want to promote legitimately my project. Now, how am I going to do that? And I went, well, I'm going to have to make something that's professional. And I'm going to have to make something that when I do my event, to where a group of people can see the first episode, that it's something that people will write about. And while I'm not going to give away what I'm going to do, I will say this: I am working every single day as part of what this campaign is, as part of what I drill into my actors, I drill into all my friends, is got to create those relationships so that when that time comes, I can reach out and say, hey, need your help. And I've been helping you. I've been promoting. Half the time I don't even have to say that, because we go out of our way, but it is a job every day, 7 days a week, on the holidays, on somebody's birthday, when you're sick. We support the people that have platforms, i.e., if you're doing a horror movie, the horror blogs, the horror magazines. I make sure that they know that every single day we are supporting them, because we don't have the money to buy advertisement with them. And they're, why are they going to do something for you when if you just go, hey, I've been following you for a month and look what I've been doing, they're going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why am I doing this for you?
Steve said, what is most inspiring is your passion and drive to do better.
Well, I appreciate that. I do believe in this art form. I do believe that it is something, I do believe that art is something that is important, just as important as any other aspect of a society, because I do believe that through art and all different types of art, people can feel empathy, see things from a different point of view, question themselves, and do it in a way that's accessible to them, versus somebody just saying, well, you shouldn't believe this, or F you for thinking that. And I think that a society without art will fail. I would argue that with anybody in the world. In fact, I don't even argue it with people. I just believe it. And I also, and here, people that get offended by that, I also go, hey, let me tell you, what I don't want is a society full of just artists. Our society will fail without lawyers, without doctors. Like, I don't know why one has to be more important than the other. To me, it doesn't. I think what's hard about being an artist is this. Most professions, there is if I'm a plumber and I show up at your house and your hot water isn't working and I do my job right, you can turn your hot water on and everybody is going to agree, well, you did that job right, as long as it doesn't break down in 3 days. But that's it. You did your job. Good job. I'll recommend you to somebody else. Art is different. You make a piece of art and there are going to be people that go, that was not done right and that's horrible. And then other people are going to, it's subjective. It's very subjective. And so it is something that only business people in the paint world, in the book world, and Hollywood, they have tried to put that criteria as, well, how much money? Look at this. We see it all the time. #1 bestseller. Okay. Well, what about, I've read a book that I know that maybe sold 50 copies that I think is great and better than that, but in the world, it's judged by that. Films the same way. Blockbuster weekend, they brought up with that. It's all about what the money was on the opening weekend. Yet, I know I've watched some independent films that nobody's seen that I think is great and changed my life. So art is a little subjective. So I think that's sometimes why a lot of times the artists feel a little like, they don't work as hard or, whatever. But it's not true. It's not true. But anyway, so again, I'm gonna rip through some tech stuff. I use Mac. I use Final Cut Pro 10. I'm proud of it. I will argue that with anybody. The one time I hired a award-winning sound guy because I didn't believe, everybody told me that you can't, you can edit and you can film, but my God, the sound. So we hired this guy. And it was the worst. And on day 2, I walked in and fired him. I let him keep half the money because I had to pay the money up front. And I took everything and went home and I spent 7 months and learned how to do it on my own. And about drove Nikki crazy, but I taught her it too because I needed her help because it is a humongous job. But don't let anybody tell you that whatever you decide to use, if it works for you. I have yet to see anybody watching a movie and go, oh, I don't think this movie is as good as that because it was edited on Final Cut and not Avid. Or what Canon? Oh, they used a Canon camera. Oh, God, this movie's going to be horrible. It never happens. There's only people in the industry that give you crap about it. And I just always laugh at people. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. You do yours, I'll do mine, and there you go. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Well, I can run through some of the daily updates that we kind of remind people since
Right.
here if you're kind of wrapping up your tech talk. So just a quick reminder, we are running a Kickstarter campaign right now, so if you would like to donate, you can go to crawlerditrilogy.com and you will get some awesome perks. And right now we have our week 2 challenge going on, which means you have a chance to be made into one of these really cool GIFs. And it'll be your picture put in this GIF. So all you got to do is become a backer. You can donate $5 as our first perk.
Oh, that's cool, Diane. I didn't know that about you. I didn't know that you first saw it on the Horror Channel. Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
And we have some really cool perks right now. We have these jackets that we're selling. We have posters that are really cool. We are selling our movie and comic book on this USB. You can get my gun. And at the very bottom of the page, it kind of shows you a list of what's being given. So if you want to go read through what you'll get. And we are currently 26% funded. So I'm super hyped about that. Thank you so much to all the backers that have been coming through. Everybody's sharing and posting and donating. It's been really helpful. And then also today we posted a new behind the scenes video to backers only. So I was going to show the teaser.
Matt.
Okay.
Here we go, guys.
I'm gonna go 3, 2, 1, fire.
Okay.
Okay. I'm good. Whenever you all
When
are.
I do the fire, squint your eyes.
Gotcha.
Nikki, you have to get that sound down after it's done so we can get it performed. Okay. I'm good. Matt, you're in control.
Oh, okay. 3, 2, 1, fire.
Oh my god. Oh, get light on it. There you go. Good.
So that was our new teaser.
That's pretty funny, Jeremy. You're absolutely right. That is why there's multiple reasons why.
And if you want to see the full video, you can become a backer. It's posted right now in the backers section. There's also another one in there with some photos behind the scenes, and we plan to continue to post those throughout the campaign. So if you join, you get instant access to that stuff, which is really cool. But yeah, I did want to just say thank you to everybody again. We have gotten more submissions as of today for the weekly challenge that are coming through. Saturday, I believe it is still on. I'm waiting for one last confirmation from somebody, but we are doing the live Q&A talk with a group out of Chicago, a movie group that's really huge into movies like ours and comic books and stuff. They wanted to come on and have us talk with them. So you can send in questions in the comment section of Kickstarter and we'll answer them live, or you can just join live on the chat. We're actually going to be bringing in people on video if you want to do that. So you can be No. Okay,
All right.
we're back.
Yeah. I just want to end with this real quick. While it seems like a lot of work, I would tell any filmmaker to do this. In one sense, if you've never shot anything before, like if you've never, number one, just finish something. I tend to find that the people that I have leaned on and the people that lean on me in this small circle that we talk to each other every day because we're filmmakers and we go through this is I have so many friends that they start something, it never finishes. Believe me, there's a million reasons why this can't be done. Even for me, for Nicole, for my other filmmaker friends. You want to start a reputation out by going, I'm going to finish it. Whether you start a short, whether you go, I'm gonna go outside and I'm gonna do a 5-minute test footage and I'm gonna put this all together and I'm gonna work with the sound and see what works. Dive in and do that. It's not that it can't be done. It absolutely can be done. I think we are absolute proof of that. In a garage with flashlights, a Canon 5D, a Zoom, and we were, case in point, as Diana said, we were showing in the UK on television. But we did a lot of testing. I did smaller, tiny little 5-minute shorts. We tested for almost 8 months on what would work and what wouldn't work with the low lighting. And I go, you can do it. You know, if you really want to do it, you can do it. Just know where you want to go on each project. Know what you're shooting for. And I know what we're shooting for on this one. I knew what we were shooting for on the last one. So it helps. It'll help you so much decide what you want to shoot, what you want to make, and how you want to go about doing it, if you know those parameters. And that's it. And then we're going to start making porn.
No, we're not.
We'd be millionaires. That's the irony. I'm talking about with me.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Well, yeah, I'll
Just
film it. I'll
yeah,
film it.
yeah. Anyway, I'm glad you guys stuck around. I know I didn't get to all the tech questions that the filmmakers wrote me. I will try to write on a lot of them. And you guys are welcome to write me on a bunch of this stuff.
I just realized you can show people's comments on your stream.
Oh,
Damn, you learn
well,
something every
look at
year.
that.
Well, from now on, I can do that. We can put up the question we're answering.
And then tomorrow ought to be fun because listening to fans, or I think it's a group of movie fans that don't know anything about us. That'll be a lot of fun. You should actually tune in for that. That'll be way more fun than this was.
We're aiming for 7:30.
Listening to me talk tech stuff is boring as hell. So
she's gonna confirm with me later today if we're for sure on, if everyone's schedules line up. So I'll make a flyer and post it out and let everybody know. If you use lapels, but zooms are great.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, Banks. I'm saying Banks because I'm not sure how to pronounce your.
Monsieur Banks.
Is it Monsieur?
I think so.
Anyway, I'm horrible with names. Anyway, you can ask everybody on this set; they'll tell you.
Thanks, Steve.
We couldn't use lapels again because, and I would use lapels. I'd have no problem using them, you know. But you think of my environment, you know, like they're crawling through tunnels, and they're, you know, it just everything that I tested, it was just like, you know, you get that shh, and so I just, you know. I went the Zoom route on that. But if it were, you know, a different setting, my friend of mine, David Wild, he shot that movie Screen with Nicole, and I think you guys used lapels a lot. And it sounded great. Hey, Steve, 1001. Good to see you. I see that you're making a bunch of stuff and moving forward. Just letting you know, I still watch you. I still see everything you're doing. Congrats on everything you're doing. Steve right there, I'll just let everybody know. One of the things I loved about him is he, for whatever reason, he had to make his own kind of like camera crane kind of thing, the handheld that would help it be smooth and everything like that. And I always love independent filmmaker, how they just figure out on their own how to make stuff work. So anyway. Yeah, we tried to make our own. Ours were horrible. They were absolutely horrible. So we decided on ours. Steve, I'm gonna share this, and then we'll probably go. So I'm not boring people. We actually screwed our camera to a skateboard, and then we put some sort of gel on the wheels and pulled it down the tunnel to get this long pulling shot to the people. And we ended up having to do that. People kept going, "My God, how'd you get a crane?" And we're like, we didn't have a crane. We had a skateboard and a piece of rope. It was hilarious. Oh, man. Anyway, we're looking at distribution to start in July on Embrace the Twilight. Cool, man. Good. Congratulations. Shoot me over, you know, when it's out there, and I'll help put it out there. Congratulations. Again, there's another guy. They just I've been following them since, man, forever. And you guys started just like us, like way down here, and you just kept doing stuff and finishing it and putting it out there, and yep, it's cool. Yeah, I'm glad you've been. You always got to figure something out. You always have to figure it out. Always. Yeah.
Skateboard is still better than a camera operated in scopes.
That's very cool.
Yeah, what people don't know is sometimes because of the tight spaces, Oklahoma would hand the actors the camera to like hand down into the tunnel. That way we could get some shots that he wouldn't be able to get otherwise. And I think I speak for all of us when I say that stressed us out at times. Like, what? You want us to do what with this? We're not directors! So that was always interesting, but it worked out. I think it worked out. We got it most of the time.
Ah, man. It's good. It's fun. I love it.
Big fan.
It's,
you guys are both awesome. Thank
yeah,
you,
I appreciate
Steve.
it. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate everybody that's trying to help us on the campaign. We're going to push and do everything we can to get there. I keep telling all the actors and everybody, it's going to be a long journey. I mean, editing, I've gone through what I call a soft edit. And, you know, I always do that to make sure that we have what we want. And then you always have to go back. There are times that I go, I wish I would just done the sequel. But it's what I do.
I'm so glad we did this.
Yeah, it's really good.
Super exciting process, and making this many at once has been interesting. It's now been, over a year that we've been filming, and we're still doing pickup scenes and reshoot scenes. But it's really it's made everybody that works on it become like a big family, and I personally think it's been a great experience, and it's still going. So I'm happy to have done it.
It is the one thing I did not think about, though, was the amount of hard drive space to do 6 1-hour and 15-minute movies,
especially in
completed
true 4K.
In true 4K is massive. It is massive terabytes.
When you ordered the last hard drive, it's like, what is it, like 7 or
that one is 72 terabytes, and that one will be finished.
It looks like its own computer. It's huge.
And I've got to order one more to finish it out once we start on the special effects. But, you know, it is what it is. The good part about it is it'll put us in a great position of going, here is a professional 6-part project, to where most of the time they're going to get a single movie from an independent person.
Right.
So I'm actually really excited about it, and I can't wait to share with everybody what we're going to do once we're done with the editing for an event. I think it's going to be something that's going to cause quite a stir and be really badass.
I'm excited. I'm actually going to post the link to our campaign in the description for anybody that's watching who might want to donate. And help us reach our goal so we can get this movie done quickly and get it out to you guys, because I'm super excited to share it. So
ironically, just to let you all know real quick, again, I appreciate you all showing up. I don't usually I put her out here. She's the.
He was convinced nobody would watch it. We've had a steady viewership since the beginning. So.
She's Tank, and she's the reason that I wrote the story. I mean, she inspires me as an actor, and oh, shut up.
Thanks.
Anyway, but I appreciate everybody talking with me and listening. I hope it helped some people. And we have this weekend coming up. We have Saturday, the movie fans talk from Chicago.
Yes.
Plus, then later that night, we have more filming to do.
And we'll go live from set.
That.
See behind the
And
scenes
then
stuff.
Sunday, we have filming to do. I can explain that at some point down the road on, we have the movie filmed, but I'm going to throw this last thing out there. I put off all of Nicole's major scenes because while I have the people that work during the week, I need to get everything with them, knowing that I can go down, I can shoot with her tonight, at 1 a.m. I can go down and be like, I need to get this scene with you, and I need to get this scene with you, and I need to get this scene with you.
Yeah.
And so I've
been filming. I've been rubbing dirt on my face and stuff for the last 5 nights in a row. But
yeah.
It's worth it. Mr. Banks says,
Yeah.
definitely enjoyed this. I hope to meet you guys someday. We have friends in common, so maybe.
Yeah, no,
Definitely.
me too. And I
Johnny.
appreciate the conversation. It was very nice of you
Johnny
to
says you guys
being
are
here
awesome.
talking.
So are
Thanks,
you,
John.
Johnny. Thank you.
I appreciate it a
All
lot.
right, guys. Well, we appreciate you watching, and we'll be live again tomorrow, and I'll be posting about it, what time, and all that on all of our socials. So.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate all you guys.
See you later.
Bye.